Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced on Friday, July the 25th, that he will recognize Palestinian statehood, drawing angry rebukes from Israel and the United States, and perhaps encouraging other major nations like Britain and Canada to follow suit. Now, will that mean that these other countries will also recognize a Palestinian state? And why has Macron decided to do this now? Well, to answer those questions, we are joined by our expert guest, Karol Wilczyński. He's a lecturer and a researcher at the Jagiellonian Center for Migration Studies. Mr. Wilczyński, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So, and the timing is a bit off, isn't it? I mean, you know, the Hamas is in a war with Israel. It's still holding hostages. October the 7th has just happened. Why do you think Macron has decided to recognize Palestinian statehood now?
I am not an expert in internal politics of France, but my guess is that we should look something there, as France is home for the biggest Muslim community in European Union, and I believe that there are some tensions, internal situations, internal pressure for claiming Palestine as a state formally. To President Macron. But from the international perspective, I would say that the major factor right now is the conference, a French-Saudi conference, which is happening next week. And probably this is something that President Macron thought would be nice to have on the table before reaching some trade deals with his Saudi partners, who are, of course, one of the advocates for recognizing the Palestinian state. So these are two main factors.
So you think... sorry, go on.
Yeah, of course, President Macron says that, like his formal statement was that it's because of France's commitment to international law and its support for the Palestinian people's rights. But of course, it doesn't explain why he waited so long to recognize the state. So I believe it's about the business he does with the Saudi Arabia. And of course, there is UN summit coming for the gathering of the General Assembly in September. And I believe this is also something that he counts for, that it's enough time, it's more than 1 month to put pressure on other Western states and allies of Israel to change their mind about this issue.
Okay, so let's start with the meeting with Saudi Arabia. What is it that Macron, in your opinion, believes, that he will get as a result of his recognition of a Palestinian state? I mean, how does that change his position in the negotiations?
Yeah, remember that France is player in the Middle East since many years, since centuries actually, and it has a role in not only in Palestine, but it has a role especially in Syria and Lebanon, which culturally and socially are much connected to France. And Saudi Arabia, as the most important regional player, has a lot to say in those countries. So probably in a political way, also in an economic way, this meeting with Saudi authorities has something to do also with other things in the region.
Do we know what the conversation is going to be about?
I might guess it's not officially set, and I think that many things will happen behind the scenes, behind the curtain. But I believe that these discussions between French and Saudi authorities will be also about the division of power within new Syria right now built, and probably one of the conditions from Saudi Arabia would be to recognize the state of Palestine, which is one of the main priorities in international policy of Saudi Arabia as well as other Arab countries. I believe, though, that Macron really honestly thinks that it can change and it can build something and create him as a peacemaker in this region, because he really counts probably that Saudi Arabia will recognize the state of Israel and normalize the relationships, which would make him a really change maker in the situation.
Understood. Now, I want to get back to what it means, to have a Palestinian state. But before that, as we're talking about the reaction of other countries, they haven't all been positive. Saudi Arabia notwithstanding, we mentioned Canada, Israel, of course, the United States, the United Kingdom. How is Macron going to kind of square that circle? I mean, he needs to maintain relationships with those countries also, doesn't he?
Yeah, still, he's not the first. Like, France is not the first country which is going to recognize state of Palestine. Last 12 months, we had Norway, Spain, and Ireland, if I recall well. And probably from smaller countries, there is Malta and Belgium going to do it very soon. Belgium may be more important country, and traditionally there is Sweden and Cyprus from, let's say, non-post-communist countries being part of European Union, which are recognizing right now and for many years the state of Palestine, and they are still part of this world. I mean, Cyprus, for example, still have like UK bases and everything. So I'm not sure if this move will necessarily drive out France of the circle, as you called it. Probably it can create some tensions, but on the other hand, we have Keir Starmer in UK who has the same tensions from not only Muslim community, because also the British people and many European citizens, non-Muslim, non-immigrant citizens, are also tired with what is happening in Gaza and how their governments are sponsoring the genocide, right? And I believe that Starmer is only waiting for Trump to come. Who I believe the visit is also planned upcoming days, so he couldn't go a step further like Macron. But probably, my guess is that Keir Starmer will have to do it before the UN summit in September. But he knows how much it can affect the trade deal he's going to sign with Donald Trump also upcoming week. So maybe he's just waiting for this. But I would say the other governments and you mentioned UK and especially UK might also go this way to if they see that this this puzzle is going to work, because it's quite complicated situation. But if they see that Macron succeeded in a way that Saudi Arabia is also moving toward normalizing ties with Israel, then probably UK will also will make this step forward.
Well, we shall see. We shall see how that happens. Now, I want to focus on what statehood actually means. Does it mean the Gaza Strip? Does it mean the West Bank? Does it mean both of them? Does it mean that those borders are now permanent? What does it mean?
It's a very hard question. Probably I could invite you for a 30-hour lecture at the university to do it. But to make it simple, most probably it will mean that France will recognize state of Palestine in the borders before the war of 1967, which means occupied West Bank, Eastern Jerusalem, and Gaza Strip as well. And what it means, France will recognize many territories occupied, not only occupied, but also settled by illegal settlers, Israeli settlers on the West Bank as Palestinian territories, which will mean very complicated situation Netanyahu plans and his right-wing government, because what they wished for was the full occupation of these territories and probably incorporating them somehow into Israel, and probably through breaking many international laws, making it Israeli territory with acceptance of such countries as France, with even formal recognition of the Palestinian state by France, will make this move and will make these plans of Netanyahu and his government very complicated. And if other countries will also recognize the state of Palestine within 1967 borders, it will mean that these plans will probably never happen, though the occupation will go on.
Yes, I mean, Israel has always said that they need a buffer zone because they're constantly being attacked with missiles and rockets. So what do you think that Israel's response is going to be, whether or not Macron recognizes a Palestinian state? Is it going to make a difference?
Yeah, of course they will react. But to be honest, looking at Netanyahu and Trump as quite chaotic leaders and very independent in terms of how they react to many things last 2 years at least, I am afraid that Netanyahu will be forced to start another war like he did with Iran, like he did with Lebanon and Hezbollah last year, to divert the attention. And probably he will try to look for another new enemy, not only for internal rhetoric and propaganda, but also for external, to show that he is not this genocidal leader who is accused of so many crimes and who cannot travel to many countries right now because he is accused of crimes by international court. So probably he will start another cycle of violence, and that's my guess.
Do you think that if Palestine did get a state, they would stop firing missiles and the war with Israel would end?
There is no hope besides that. I mean, I can see no hope for peace if there will be full occupation of the Palestinian territories and expulsion of this population from Palestinian territories by the Israel. It's not only about the situation in local context, but it's also about what President Macron stated. It's about the international law. If we allow Israel to expel the population, we can agree that Russia can attack Ukraine and can expel Ukrainian population.
Understood.
All other countries can do it.
Understood. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good evening, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, though. Lots more coming up. Goodbye.